Hey, have you seen I May Destroy You?
No, no, I really want to see it. I just sort of can't watch it right now.
Why?
All right, so I don't have HBO, doing finger quotes.
Well, who does? Finger quotes have HBO. I don't either.
Yeah, so I've been using, I cut the cord maybe 7 years ago.
It's like 10 for me.
Yeah, but I fake cut the cord. Like I use somebody else's login and that shit.
Yeah, of course.
But Comcast, I mean Xfinity, I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to dead name them. Xfinity,
Nice.
sorry, Xfinity is doing two-factor authentications now. So when I
What?
try to log into her shit, they're sending the text with the verification code.
Oh, no. So you're like, you can't be texting them like, can I get that code? Can I get that second
Yeah.
code so I can watch this? Why don't you just get HBO now? It's like, I think $10 a month. I mean, that's not cheap, but
It's the principle of the whole thing. I
I
mean,
know.
I would theoretically pay for HBO Max.
That's
Ex-
HBO now. Same thing.
no, HBO Max comes with other shit.
Oh, okay. Right, right, right.
Comes with a few other channels. The catch is, like, they launched it without an app on the Roku or the Fire Stick.
You have Roku? I have Roku.
Yeah, Roku. I thought you had Apple TV. I thought you were fancy.
I got rid of it because it was, first of all, like 8 years old, and they got rid of HBO Go. They phased that out, and they're getting rid of HBO Now. They're phasing that out, and they're not updating it. And like, it's just like it was terrible. I love Roku. You can search for anything across all the apps. What the fuck? Why didn't Apple do that?
It's the best thing. I actually have the Roku soundbar.
Okay.
It's two things in one.
Wow. Fancy. See, you're fancy. Yeah, I like it. I was very surprised. We got it like a month ago, and it's just like also has Furchester Hotel on Hulu, which is no, is it Hulu? Yeah, it's Hulu, which is not my account. I don't. We don't have any. Not, we don't pay for anything, not, except for Prime. Prime is our own, but
Well, yeah, you can't really share pot because people just be shipping shit to their house.
right, using your account. Anyways, I May Destroy You. Top notch TV. Holy shit, it's so good. You should watch it. It's not for the faint of heart, but it's good.
So give me a quick rundown.
Um, okay, I mean, I don't really want to do spoilers, but this is kind of out there, so it's not really a spoiler. But basically, it follows Arabella, the main character. She's the writer, director. Or I don't know if she's directed, but she's the writer and the star.
It's Michaela Cole, right?
Yes, she is fucking amazing. Um, and she gets sexually assaulted, raped. She gets roofied the first
Yo,
episode.
I did not know it was that dark. Fuck.
Yes. You they don't spoilers for anybody. Mute yourself. Mute this if you don't want to hear this, but they don't show that. They only show flashbacks. And it's basically the whole thing is about how when you've been violated like that, how do you make yourself whole again? But it's very good. So good, man. She is what an actress. Wow. And she's so beautiful. And she's so like this is another spoiler. There's a scene of her on like 5 different drugs, and I was like, "Oh my god, she has nailed it. What it's like to be on all these drugs." So, like she's like on ecstasy, coke, weed, alcohol, and some other thing. I don't know.
Been there.
That's why I was like, "Wow. She nailed this. She nailed this." Like I said, actors are being themselves.
If you're listening, audience, three. Three is the most drugs you should do at once.
Oh man, seriously, don't do more than that. And 2 of those, if you're gonna do 3 drugs, 2 of them should probably be. One of them should at least be alcohol.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show.
Welcome back.
So we're recording this on July 15th. And what that means is we're just a couple weeks away from the PUA, the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance, to run out.
Yeah.
At the end of this month, the extra $600 a week that unemployment recipients are getting vanishes.
That and also the rent moratorium, or not the moratorium, but the eviction moratorium is about to expire if it hasn't already. I think it actually already did. And
It's a state-by-state thing, the evictions.
yeah, it's expired for some people. I think I read somewhere that in July, 35% of people didn't pay their rent or mortgage. Some crazy number like that. It was a big number.
That's pretty consistent because I think the number was in the 30s in April.
Yeah. So things are about to get real, real dark for the fall, I think. I mean, not even the fall, in the next couple of weeks. The thing is the federal government, with a little stroke of the pen, could fix this. They are pumping the stock market full of billions of dollars. They are not helping regular people.
We knew when they passed the CARES Act that the 6 months of PUA, or however long it was,
I think it was like
6 months.
It was not 6 months. It was like 4 months.
Yeah, the 4 months of PUA was definitely not going to be enough. But I think the assumption was that we would either be out of this or they would pivot and adjust. But it doesn't look like there's any serious plans to extend this or come up with a new plan to bail out the actual individual citizen.
Right. They as it is now, many small businesses have closed for good. The PPP loans have gone to a lot of big corporations. Billionaires, as we know, have become way richer since the pandemic started. They have received a lot of money. They're being propped up. They don't care. That's the simple truth of it. They don't care.
Remember all this talk back in January and February about how Trump was going to pivot left on populism, and that's how I was like,
yeah,
where did that shit go?
He doesn't care, dude. He doesn't care. He is. I'm sure there is no transparency, but I am sure that his family has enriched itself and become wealthier. He has made sure all his donors, his Republican donors, and also wealthy Democrats as well, have gotten richer. They have all been fine. If you look at the rich people's feelings graph, i.e. the stock market, it's had its best day, like recently, didn't it? Isn't it
Jesus.
back? I think it's back to pre-pandemic levels.
Yeah, I don't actually actively monitor my retirement accounts, but today being the tax filing deadline, I was like in my financials. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh shit, I actually
You're doing
have
fine.
some money.
Yeah, you're doing fine. So, yeah, he doesn't care about regular people. And obviously, he's a white supremacist, and who is being affected by this the most? This is the easiest way for him to target black people, brown people, minorities, people of color. Let them die. That's what he says. Let them die.
Well, if you look at the way his campaign is running now, he's running on nothing more than the culture war.
Mm-hmm. It seems like he's abandoned the whole, remember back in February when things were good? He was doing that. That whole, we're going to get back to the way things were.
No, I don't want to put this all on the feet of Donald J. Trump, because it doesn't really seem as if congressional Democrats are trying to do much right now either.
Yeah, I read that they did pass something that would sort of help, but of course the Senate didn't take it up, so there's that. I don't see, the only people I see that are upset about the state of the economy right now is like AOC, Ayanna Pressley, Ileana Marr.
The Squad.
Yeah, the Squad. Basically, they're the only ones I see clips of being like, what the fuck is happening? I don't see Nancy Pelosi angry. I don't see her angry on TV. I don't see Chuck Schumer. They release their statements. They go on TV, but they're very polite for the most part. They barely say anything edgy.
I mean, they're deeply invested in the status quo. Can we dive into our first digression?
Yes, please.
So I'm really happy to see the Squad coming out and endorsing Biden. But even more than the Squad, we're seeing actual leftists. Angela Davis came out and said she's going to vote for Joe Biden.
Yes. And that's a good thing, because a lot of these leftists are trying to take principled stands against Joe Biden, and it's like, guess what? This is not the time for that.
Like, what do you know that Angela Davis doesn't know? Like, Angela Davis has been an actual full-blooded communist longer than most of you guys have been alive. She's a PhD. She has done the work. She has done the scholarship. You aren't to the left of Angela Davis.
Right. Would you consider yourself the leftist?
I do.
Yeah, me too. I do too. And I understand, like, leftists, position that Joe Biden has done many terrible things and been involved in many things that have killed people and imprisoned them. Yeah, I get it. Here's where I fall. We get another 4 years of Donald Trump, there will be no more progress. That's it. That's game over. At least with Joe Biden, we can push him, possibly, or push the country, push our local leaders. If Donald Trump is elected, that's it. He's a fascist dictator. You think he's going to go away in 4 years? That's it. It's done.
Yeah, I texted you about this the other day, but I don't even think we should think of Joe Biden as the lesser of two evils. We should think of Joe Biden as harm reduction.
Right.
And I gave the heroin analogy. I put it out on Twitter. Let's just say that the current status quo is heroin. Capitalism is heroin. The American healthcare system is heroin. It is fundamentally bad. These are bad things. But
Yes.
in a world where we embrace harm reduction, we believe that people who are on heroin should have clean needles. People who are on heroin should have safe injection sites.
Yes, and access to treatment if they want it, if they need it.
Correctly. So what Joe Biden is harm reduction. Donald Trump, 4 more years of Donald Trump, is just letting people shoot God knows what out on the corners with dirty needles. Some people will say, I just can't support heroin use in any way. Heroin use is inherently bad, so why would we give junkies needles? Because it's fucking safer. And that is what Joe Biden is. I'm not saying that Joe Biden is good. Joe Biden has pushed numerous things, mass incarceration, capitalism, that are fundamentally bad for us.
Wars in the Middle East.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, for sure. No one is on their soapbox saying he's the answer. He's not anybody's first choice.
But he will help us survive
He will.
long enough to potentially get what we need later.
And really, look at all the judges that Trump has installed. The Supreme Court. Do we really... RBG is dying. I'm sorry, I don't want to be so blunt, but she is not going to make it 4 more years. Do we want to fill that seat with somebody who is going to push a Trump agenda? I mean, look how bad Kavanaugh is already. Already.
We've got to pack the court. Whoever...
And possibly maybe even add more seats.
That's what I meant by packing it.
Yeah, so it's... Yeah, it's not good. It's not good if we don't get out and vote for him. It harms a lot of people if we don't even turn the Senate. I feel like there's even now a possibility of turning the Senate.
I mean, it's definitely out there.
I know.
So,
Back to PUA. What do you think's going to happen? I just don't... If they don't do something, things are going to fall apart really, really badly.
I mean, things will fall apart, but it won't be torches and pitchforks. People will just starve and people will die.
You think?
People will lose their homes. We will have a loss of homes that far exceeds what happened during the housing crash, because it's going to be a lot of renters.
Who do they think is going to come in and rent these apartments of people that they're in houses that they're evicting? Who do they think is going to come in and do that if everyone is losing their homes? Some mythical, not broke person. You look at, it's intentional. I really do believe at this point it's intentional. If you look at other countries and how they've handled this and they are doing fine, This is intentional. It doesn't have to be like this.
I mean, if they had just paid people to stay at home back in April, back in March, we probably would be past this right now. I mean, COVID-19 would still exist. We don't have a vaccine, but it would not be an epidemic. A U.S. passport would be useful. You could go to other countries.
Nobody wants us around. Justifiably so.
We're not a serious country.
No,
it should not be taken seriously.
It's humiliating. It is. I am absolutely humiliated at the lack of seriousness by the leaders and by, 33% of this country?
But, as long as the billionaires get richer. Have you seen that Jeff Bezos is now richer than he was before the divorce?
I mean, I didn't even realize that, but I know he got richer since the pandemic began.
Yeah, he gave his ex half of his money, and now he is richer than he was pre-divorce.
It's disgusting. It's disgusting. And I tweeted this about how that hedge fund manager, I can't remember his first name, but his last name is Singh. He just basically said that Trump's handling of this crisis has been a gift to billionaires.
Yeah, literally, they've opened up the treasury and just dumped money into their companies.
Yeah, I can't believe that there won't be pitchforks. I tend to disagree, dude.
I went to Home Depot. Not a single pitchfork in sight.
Oh.
They had tiki torches, but those have sort of been tainted since Charlottesville.
Yeah. Okay, what about hoes and shovels?
And there's no shaming on the show. So our next topic sort of dovetails into the last one. Is Betsy DeVos and the Trump administration's insistence that schools reopen in the fall for in-classroom instruction.
Without a plan. They don't have a plan. It's just, you gotta reopen. Betsy DeVos is, if you'll remember, how could you forget, is the same person who didn't want to wipe away debt for people who went to a for-profit institution that was they basically got scammed on their degree. She fought that. She's also one of the heirs to Scamway. Do you know that? You knew that.
Yeah, I did know that. Their family owns the Orlando Magic.
Right. She's the 88th richest person in this country. Her family is the 88th richest. They have $5.5 billion of net worth.
Their family literally owns Blackwater.
Yeah. That should tell you everything you need to know if you remember Blackwater from the Bush years. I actually had an uncle who did Amway, and he...
Oh, I thought you were going to say you had an uncle who did Blackwater.
Who did Blackwater? Fuck no. Amway's bad enough. He was a religious right-wing nut, clearly, who just... I was scared of him, but he also was just always pushing Amway. And he was a nut. You can't get rich. I just read that only 0.02% of people actually break even. It's a MLM basically.
Yeah, it's like Avon except with no products that anyone actually wants. Right?
Yeah, you actually make your money by having people underneath you. Obviously, the money flows up. It's a pyramid scheme. Anyways, back to Betsy DeVos. She is insisting, as well as Trump, that schools reopen. They don't have a plan, and they're threatening to take federal funding away, which I think federal funding only makes up about 10% of the budget for schools, for public schools.
And there's no way they would get away with that. The states would sue anyway.
Yeah, I don't think they actually have the legal authority to do that. But just the fact that she is pushing this when, she says there's no data that shows that that it's unsafe for kids to be in school. Did you read about Israel?
No, tell me about Israel.
So Israel, apparently, they actually do have data. It just came out. And so they actually handled the pandemic very well in the beginning. They went on lockdown, people stayed home, etc., all that stuff. And they had very few cases. And then, against advice from the experts, the health experts in Israel, they reopened the schools completely in June. They didn't do like PPE. They didn't do social distancing. They didn't do anything. And a month later now, they are right behind the United States in cases. They have, their cases have skyrocketed, and it can be all traced about, I want to say 45% of the new cases can be all contact traced to schools opening.
I mean, kids are really bad at social distancing. Mm-hmm. And how much social distancing can you actually do in a classroom? I know most school districts are talking about sort of hybrid plans where kids go 2 to 3 days a week.
Right.
But they're still in that space, and they're still going to be children. And the logic is that children aren't as deeply affected by COVID-19 as adults. But last time I checked, kids live with adults.
Yeah, and
teachers were adults.
And teachers were adults. You have a lot of teachers who are older, obviously. You have children who live with adults who also live with grandparents, or grandparents, visit. It's just absolute madness. How do you feel? You have 2 kids, right?
Yeah, I have 2 school-aged children. And anyone who's got kids beyond preschool, or preschool and beyond, knows that they're little fucking germ factories. They walk around touching shit with their jam hands. It's snot for 5 months on end.
Yeah.
They're disgusting creatures.
Yeah.
And they're going to infect one another, and they're going to infect their parents and their grandparents and the teachers. And what happens when a teacher gets infected?
Exactly.
Does that teacher quarantine for 14 days and you get a sub? But every kid in that class has an exposure. So do all those kids have to quarantine for what the... have they thought this through?
They haven't thought this through. There literally is no plan. There literally is no plan from Betsy DeVos. She is pushing for the schools to reopen without giving them any guidance. She even says the CDC guidelines are flexible. Here's what is this is how it ties back to our previous discussion. I get that there is a huge concern for lower income children. This is going to hit them the hardest. But again, if the federal government would step in and have a actual adequate social safety net, as well as, health insurance for people, as well as paying people to stay home if they need to, or even just fucking testing. Can you imagine if we could just get tested?
It's the reason they are so hell-bent, they being the Trump administration, that schools reopen and have in-classroom instruction, is to reopen the economy. Mm-hmm. They understand that a lot of people have been forced out of the job market by COVID-19. I am currently not employed.
Same.
And I cannot take a job because who is going to watch these kids? Who's going to homeschool them? Fortunately, I have enough of a financial cushion that I cannot work, but not everyone is as fortunate.
Yeah. Most of this country is not as fortunate. And all of these people who lost their jobs, lost their health care. It doesn't have to be this way. That's why it's like, this is intentional. This is intentional. They don't give a fuck about anyone but the other rich people. This is what it is.
No, we're just fodder for the machine.
Mm-hmm. They don't care if you die. They don't care if anybody dies. I mean, go ahead.
I mentioned before that I have one kid in private school and one kid in public school.
Yes, because you love the one in private school more.
I mean, she's objectively better. Oh, man, I said which one. Damn.
One day they are going to listen to this. They're going to listen to your backlog of all your podcasts. They'll stumble upon this moment, and then there will be hell to pay for you.
I mean, one of them will take care of me.
Right, yeah. Dude, I had a bit that I did on TV, and it was basically about how I didn't want kids. And I'm like, my kids are one day going to see that, how I do not want kids. Anyways.
No, I do want kids. I cherish the children. Just one more than the other.
I can't tell if you're joking or if you're serious. And that's the joke, I think. All right. So anyways.
So the public school district has been having hearings trying to figure out what their plan is going to be with input from the public. I get a robocall from the public school district at least once a week during the school year, like 7 a week. No fucking mention about this hearing. I did not get a call about the hearing. I found out just because I track these things on social media that the school wanted people to either opt into full-time distance learning, and once you opt into that, you're stuck with that for the full year, or a hybridized plan, and they gave people 11 days to make that decision.
Wow.
But didn't publicize it.
So if you don't opt in, you're in for the hybridized.
Right, and they think it's going to be 3 days a week in school, which is actually worse than going full online, because that's a nightmare with a job.
Yeah. How do you... Hey, listen, I can only come in 3 days a week or 2 days a week. Also, I saw online, somebody tweeted, I don't remember, that the school board was meeting. They had a Zoom meeting because it was too dangerous for them to meet in person to discuss whether children should go back to school in person. I mean, what the fuck, y'all?
It's... You know, I didn't even think of this, but if pandemic unemployment assistance is disappearing, I'm wondering if the pandemic food assistance is disappearing. Because, lots of public school students who qualified for free lunch got emergency SNAP to cover the lunches that weren't available when the kids weren't in school. I actually got that for my kid because we're a poor school district, so it's 100% free lunch. But yeah, like, are kids going to starve?
I mean, they don't care. They don't care about children. This is a death cult. I mean, I know it's been said, but it clearly is a death cult. They're clearly a death cult. They don't care if people die. They don't. That's literally what it is.
Betsy DeVos is easily one of the worst people in the Trump administration.
Easily.
I mean, aside from what is happening now with her push to reopen, Betsy DeVos took the job so she could dismantle public education.
That has been her life's work, to dismantle public education. And she has tried again and again to funnel public education funds to private and charter schools. She continues to try to do that. I think Detroit is suing her right now for something like that. I mean, she continues to do that, and yet she gets taken to court and told don't do that, and she still does it anyways.
Right, and for those who don't understand, like, school choice on surface seems pretty logical. Like, why shouldn't parents who don't want to send their kids to the public school not get the same amount of tax money that would have gone to those public schools to use elsewhere? But when you just dig a little bit deeper and think about what that means, it's really just to subsidize white flight and to subsidize, specifically for DeVos, Christian schools.
Yes. It's taking the funds from the public schools and funneling them into private, sometimes religious schools. There's what else is there to say about that? I mean, that's what she's doing. I'm just glad my kids are right now, basically almost 2 and almost 6 months. I can't imagine having to face this.
I spent an entire year between like 4 and 5 debating and agonizing over what we were going to do for kindergarten. And you know what? That is a goddamn blessing. That means I had options.
Yeah.
Most people was like, I'm going to send the kid up the street. If that school's shitty, it's just going to be a shitty school, and we'll make do.
Yeah, I mean, and she's truly trying to dismantle the American dream of free public education, which, for everything that is wrong with public schools and needs to be fixed, it's still something that is a right to every child. And she's trying to take that away. She's a horrible person.
Isn't it? It says a lot to be a part of this administration and be one of the most loathsome people there.
I've read, and I think this might actually be true, if anyone is going to affect whether Trump gets reelected or not, it's her. People hate her. Parents hate her. She is not...
Teachers hate her.
Teachers hate her. Do you think the teachers are going to strike if they're forced to go back?
I would hope that we have a national teacher strike.
Me too. I hope they strike. I hope they say, fuck this shit. You want to sacrifice us for what? This is what I don't understand. They're already giving the billionaires money. They're already pumping up the rich people's feelings graph. What? Why do we need to go back? Why can't you just give people money to stay home? You're already giving the rich people money. I don't understand this. This is why I'm like, it's intentional. They want people to die. Real happy episode here, guys.
Give people money to stay home.
Like you said, we could have done 6 weeks of that. The entire country stay home. But we don't have contact tracing. We don't have enough testing. We don't have enough PPE still.
And also, my freedoms.
My freedoms. Oh, we just look like idiots. Everybody around the world thinks we're a bunch of idiots, and I'm embarrassed. Asshole of the week?
I have an asshole of the week.
Oh, tell me.
Asshole of the week is host of MTV's Wild 'N Out, or shall I say former.
Oh, ouch.
Host of The Masked Singer, or shall I say former.
Yeah.
Nick Cannon.
Yeah.
Nick Cannon, yesterday, did a podcast with Professor Griff, formerly of Public Enemy.
Yes.
As you know, Public Enemy was a radical iconic hip-hop act in the 80s. Very militant and political. Mm-hmm. And they kicked Griff out because of Griff, you're out of control.
Yeah. Wasn't it for anti-Semitic remarks in an interview?
Yeah, it was anti-Semitic shit. So Nick Cannon went on the show and said that...
also, why? Why did he go on the show? He didn't need to do that interview.
Probably because he was just out of fucks to give.
I guess so. Okay.
But he went out there and said, wild shit.
He
shit
did.
that you would see in, Nubian pamphlets. That white people were genetically deficient.
Oh, is he doing some of that, so the black Israelites?
The black Hebrew Israelites?
Yeah. So was he saying that kind of stuff?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, a little bit deeper than that even.
Oh.
Just wildly eugenic shit.
Oh, wow. He's been spending his lockdown really Googling shit. Googling a lot of stuff, right?
White people were closer to animals.
Oh.
Shit like that.
Wow, okay.
But, he's been on this shit for a while, though, because he picked up that Dr. Sebi documentary that supposedly Nipsey Hussle was going to make.
Okay.
And Dr. Sebi, for those of you who don't know, was a naturalist who purported to have cured cancer, AIDS, and a bunch of shit.
Okay. I did not know about this guy.
Sebi is an absolute quack. Sebi did not believe in germ theory.
Okay.
Literally did not believe that people got sick from microorganisms.
How can he call himself a doctor?
Well, he's a doctor of naturopathy.
Okay.
And, I mean, it's one thing to, sell quackery, but his adherents were foregoing real treatment and real drugs just to, drink his sea moss smoothies or whatever the fuck.
That sounds very Steve Jobs like. I mean, he could have cured his cancer, and he didn't. He just drank a bunch of smoothies.
Here's a fun thing about Dr. Sebi. Dr. Sebi was sued by the state of New York, and his fans would love to say that he actually beat the New York Supreme Court and proved that his cures actually worked. But if you actually look at the court transcripts, Dr. Sebi was like, well, I never technically diagnosed anyone with anything, so I wasn't practicing medicine.
Oh, my God.
And that was the technicality. And he won. It was like, okay, yeah, I guess.
Oh, wow. And yet people still are like, yes, he won.
Yeah, and they will say that he was killed to keep his secrets.
Okay.
They said that Lisa Left Side Lopes of TLC was killed because she went to Costa Rica to meet with Dr. Sebi.
Oh, wow. Wow, I didn't know about these conspiracy theories.
I mean, she did die in that crash going to Costa Rica to meet Dr. Sebi.
Right.
So that part is true.
Right.
And then they said that Nipsey Hussle, rest in peace, was killed because of to keep the Dr. Sebi documentary from coming out. So it's just kooky shit.
Right.
And Nick Cannon's been on that for a minute.
Okay. So he got fired quickly. Anyways.
As always, our theme music, Too Cool, is composed by Kevin MacLeod, licensed to Creative Commons.
Thank you, Kevin. Follow us at Eat the Press on the thing. Send us an email if you want, eatthepress@gmail.com. Thank you to
Dustin Lamar for social media.
Thank you, Dustin.
And thank you, the listener.
Yes, thank you, guys. Remember to rate us if you can. Leave us a review.
all the stars.
Yep. See you next time.
See ya.